My favorite part of the process of designing jewelry is the moment when I know that it has clicked. And a lot of times I think I've worked so hard on one piece, or it's taken so much time that I want it to be done, and I'll even decide that it's done and try to convince myself, and a lot of times actually convince myself that it's done. But if I take a step back and come back to a piece and realize that it's not done, or I have to kind of listen to my gut and say, this is not good enough. It's not there yet. So especially in those moments when I go back to something and I know, I don't know, it's just a natural, it's a real moment and real feeling when I've hit it, and I just know it, and it happens every time. So that's my favorite part of the process.
Great. What do you do? How does that feel when you hit that point in the process? What usually happens?
When I hit that point in the process, sometimes I will do things like throw all my tools down and say, I'm a genius, or something like that. Run around the studio, clap really loud, call someone in the studio over to me to see what I've done. Not that I think I'm brilliant, even though I do call myself a genius, but that it's relief. It's relief that I've discovered it. It's like, if you're researching forever, and that is part of it. If you are looking so hard for something and digging and asking questions and just making and spending a ton of time trying to make something what you think it needs to be, and then it just comes to you, the moment is like the most freeing moment. And so, yeah, it's a huge release. That's what happens when I hit that point in the process. And I think that is why it's my favorite point, because it really is like there's so much stress that leads up to it, and then it's just liberating to find it.
So what do you think is happening, like, biologically with your creativity when you make those discoveries? Like, is it the result of, how does it happen?
I'm not sure what's happening biologically. I think, I don't know. I think I am of the belief system that, yeah, there's talent in the work that I do, that creative people do, but I think a lot of it is patience and time and practice and hard work, really. And so I think, I don't know, I mean, I guess I would say I think that there is a certain tension that happens leading up to that discovery. And I think that discovery then just expands and releases the tension. But yeah, I don't know if that's, I think, I just think it's a really tough process, and I think, but a process that I am addicted to, I guess. Yeah, it's like addiction. Maybe that's the biological thing. Addicted to figuring it out, and working hard until that happens.
So talk a little bit about how this collection came to you.
This particular collection is not horribly different. Landing on this collection is not horribly different than other collections I've made, but I think this one is a bigger example of me pushing hard in one direction and learning that it is the wrong direction is for this particular moment. So for you and me, I set out to create a really sort of vibrant, large, feminine, loud collection, and I've done a lot of drawings, and I've done a lot of work with brass and cutouts and wax and things like that, and it just wasn't quite sticking. And I'm not done with that, with the work that I've done there, but I found, I think there was a moment in my process, I will go back to the sketchbook. I'll go back to stuff that I drew before I even started really designing jewelry. I mean, I'll go back to every collection that I've drawn for, because there are always little things that'll just come out that aren't necessarily for the collection that I'm working on. It's in my head, so I draw it. So there was a shape. I mean, it came down to a shape that I saw, and it's like I didn't want it to be the one, but I looked at it, and it's such a simple shape, and it made me. I think after my husband and I, Will, who is the my business partner, he and I went to Peru, and I was really, really inspired by this particular concept in ancient Incan culture of give and take. And it was the symbol that they had that I drew a lot of, where the hands are like this, and I take from my crop and I give to you, and then you give me some from your crop in exchange. And maybe it was the way the guide talked about it, but something about it really inspired me. And so I got into the idea of parts that make up a whole. And for whatever reason, this rectangular shape with a slit through it made me think of parts that come together to make up a whole. And so I said, maybe I should just go with this. And one night, I drew everything. It all came out. And in a way, it's really frustrating, because it's like, oh man, I've been thinking so hard about this one thing for so long, and then suddenly one night I can see this one shape, and that's going to be the thing that is going to turn into an entire collection, and it takes me one night to do it. The collection did not take one night to make, though, but that is where the inspiration came from.
Great. So thinking back to that footage we have of the connector ring and the wax and then the metal prototype process, can you sort of describe what that is, from sketch to wax to metal, how those processes work?
With the connector ring, I start with simple sketches. I think simple shapes. Like I've been calling it the slit piece, just slits and things fitting into the slits. And I think that that just long, simple, minimal shape made me think of what goes in these things, or what's beyond that hole. And so that particular ring went from, I mean, it's hard to actually put it to words. It's hard for me to understand, because I don't have these. A lot of times with my sketches, they're not fully formed. I don't take the sketch and that's exactly it. Here's my block of wax. I'm carving it out and then getting it cast. It doesn't necessarily follow that line. I think that with this ring, more of what it became came out during the wax process. So I wanted to make something. I really love the idea of balance. So I started with the bigger ring first, and like a chunky, simple but chunky thing, and then the whole sort of came to me that there should be a hole in the top. And then, of course, I decided that there needed to be a way for something to fit in through the middle of it. And I thought, can I kind of make two rings in one? And so I think that particular piece actually came to life a little bit more through the carving process, because it's very repetitive too. So there's a lot of, at least the way that I have learned to do it, a lot of scraping, and kind of with that repetition, you sort of see the thing starting to take shape, and then it guides me where to go, I guess.
Can you just talk how something goes from wax into metal?
So I'll take the sketch of something, I'll make it the precise measurements that I want, and then I will take an X-Acto knife and cut the sketch out of the paper and tape it on the top of a block of wax. And then from there, I will take a burr bit that grinds off the majority of the wax around, like just the simple shape. And then once I get that like the bigger shape, the outside shape, then I start working a little bit more into the detail of the wax. So I'll go from using my flex shaft with a bit that quickly grinds and cuts the wax up and removes it, to very fine carving tools that are similar to tools that you would use with clay, to think of it just a little bit smaller. And then I scrape, and they have, the tools that I use have lots of different types of shapes and sharp edges and different points that allow you to play with the exact angle that you're trying to get in shape that you're trying to achieve in the wax. So for me, it's a back and forth process of burr bit into, so wax burr bit with the flex shaft back to carving tools. Oh crap, I forgot about this. Mess that part up. Get out the dental tools, which are like, they burn and melt the wax. So it's basically like the wax version of solder. So you just melt it and melt it back together. And I break, I have really heavy hands, so I break waxes a lot. I'm learning and getting better at that every time I do one. But so yes, it's kind of a back and forth. And then sometimes I'll realize, I went too far with that edge, particularly with the interlocking rings. I think I broke the middle ring maybe 15 times before, or sorry, the thicker ring before I got it in the wax. So then I have to melt it back together. And then I'll even take, there's so many little parts of the process. I'll take a big, huge file and file it down to be exactly what I want. And then I have to work on the smoothing out of the outside of the wax so that it's pretty much in the best form it can be before we take it to get the wax burnt out and then injected with molten metal. And then we make a mold from that and turn that into something that we can cast parts from.
Great.
Can you talk a little bit about what imperfections that exist during the carving period that you decide to keep in, or edges you decide not to smooth down?
Well, during the process of working with the wax, certainly, just as it is true for me working in every stage of the designing process, things will come out in the carving process that I wasn't expecting to be there, and a lot of times I'll decide to keep those imperfections. And the reason why is I like that people will get Betsy and I jewelry and be able to see, like, oh man, that might be a spot where Betsy from the original wax had made a mark, or this piece, it's not perfect, because none of this stuff is, and so that makes me know that it's a handmade, handcrafted piece of jewelry. So that's one thing. And then I love when I will make a mistake. Yeah, maybe my hand, maybe I twitch or something like that, and it goes a little too far. But I realize, oh, wait a minute, stop! Don't put it back. You love how that went 1 extra millimeter wider than you were planning. That actually looks better, and you get to see the space around the slit, around the ring that's on the inside, and that's cool to see that something's sort of floating. So. Yeah, I just try to not, even though I'm a perfectionist, not stop that particular process that is organic, and stop when it feels like it's done.
Can I ask her about listening?
Oh, sure. So I hear you talk a lot when I'm filming you about how pieces talk to you. I love it. I think it's awesome. How do you make space to hear what they want? How do you listen to a piece, and how important is it to honor what the piece wants?
Hold just 1 second. Did you just do something with your hair?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't mean to. I was just.
Yeah, just go back.
It's like hot drop. There you go. Yeah.
That good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you fluff the?
Yeah.
No, don't pull it down. Just fluff it. Closer to your face. That part. Yeah. There you go. Right?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Totally.
Okay.
Get these flyaways
Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
I always talk about listening to the jewelry and what, or the work really, and what it is telling me. And I think that this came from graduate school, actually. We would do a lot of work with devising theater, and our professor, a really impactful professor, would always say, you have to listen to the work. And so that particular idea has definitely found its way in my work. And I think for me what it means is the difference between forcing something and trying to be someone that I am not, or trying to be me trying to put my idea of what the work should be on it, rather than listening to where it is going. And so the way that I do that is I try to give myself pauses. I try to see the work as I'm doing it. I try to have moments where I question myself and say, is this really what you were going for? Or forget what you were going for. You know, this is not what it wants to be. And maybe I don't know what it is right away. But I think the way that I listen is by giving myself time and space to see it. But also to check myself, to check my ego, to check, it's not about me, it's about this thing that is in front of me. And I have to see that thing, like really see that thing. And it's about authenticity it's about being real.
Great. Can you talk a little bit about what piece evolved the most from idea, sketch, prototype to final?
I think the piece for me that evolved the most was in the collection was the bar piece. It's the most complex piece in the collection, and I think people can see that when they see the collection. That particular necklace was the original inspiration came from actually something that one of our employees, Alyssa, made in the Maker Play Day, and I think I was trying to honor the work that she had done and make it more like what she had done, but create a centerpiece that was more Betsy and I, more from my head. But it didn't want to be that. So that one came out and became what it was entirely through the making process. I went back to the sketchbook after I started, and then it evolved even more. It was kind of a play back and forth between my hands. Well, it's all with my hands, I guess, but through wax and carving, back to this book, back to wax, and then there was a real fight in there about. I decided I wanted there to be a real connecting component. And so I decided that there needed to be a ring that would come out of this bar. And I almost got to the point where I thought that was a completely idiotic idea and that there was no way it was going to work. But then I figured it out, and it was just I decided that the mechanism for getting the ring attached would have to change. And so the ring originally was going to be just sitting on the top of the bar piece, so you would actually see the round part of it. And then I realized, it wants to be more integrated. And so so I went back. I think that one I started from the bottom maybe 3 times, meaning I started with a chunk of wax and redid the rectangle at least 3 times from scratch, which is so frustrating. Maybe the 3rd time I completely blew through the holes. There are 2 holes that I drilled in wax, and I blew through the holes. And I was trying to work too fast, and I melted the wax because I was trying to drill it too hard and too fast. And but those mistakes also lead to seeing, wait a minute, this ring can fit on the inside, and it can really feel like it's part of the same piece. So that's how that one evolved.
how do you feel right before a collection comes out?
How do you feel right now?
Yeah, right now.
Right before a collection comes out, which is right now, I feel crazy because I feel there are some days I'll wake up and think like, oh, this is awesome. It's so good. I'm really proud of it. I'm proud of the work that everybody has done. And, proud of the team and proud of just the impression that I think it will make. And then either that same night or the next day, I will think, this is not going to work. People aren't going to like it. Or I'm really scared that they're not going to like it. And what if they don't like it? The kind of insecure, meaningless, not meaningless, that's not the right word, but the things that you can't control, I think, but futile, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Thought processes that kind of eat you and waste your time. That happens to me before a collection. And luckily I have Will, who thinks that I'm good at what I do, and who and tells me that the thing that I've done is really, that I should be proud of the work that I've done. So that is a shoot, this is silly.
Okay.
I think having that support, not just from Will, but from our whole team. Even little things like hearing Anna or Barry come over, or Alyssa, and say like, I don't know, everybody does it in their different way, but Barry will snatch the necklace and she'll put it on herself and she'll give me a look like, this is mine today. And anyways, the support of our team helps me get through those dark moments. But I always have dark moments before a collection comes out, because who knows? And the whole business, in my mind, hinges on being able to come up with new things that are going to excite people, and people who we know are already committed to the work that we do, or excited about it, And so it's like you hear these people getting excited about this work, and then what if I let them down? So those are the demons that come out. But I certainly have great moments too, and I feel inspired and excited about the newness of it. So
Tell us about this.
I feel excited, like Christmas morning excited, 9-year-old Christmas morning excited when a new collection is about to come out. And certain moments like shooting a lookbook, seeing it on other people, seeing other people pick it up from the tray and say like, oh my God, or the models have a particular scene and then they come back and before they leave they say, I want every single piece. Those moments are validating to me, and they make me feel excited. And then seeing the picture, a picture is snapped and then it's shown to me instantaneously, and I see, wow, it's like seeing things from the collection from different angles and different eyes. Those moments I feel are the moments when I feel probably most excited and proud. And sometimes it's not even because of something that somebody says. It's just me looking at it, and for whatever reason, maybe I've had enough sleep or enough water, or I don't know, but I look at it and I just know that it's good, and I know that it's going to work out in the end, and I feel happy about that.
Great. I feel like you kind of touched on it. My next question was, what do you hope people feel when they wear one of these pieces?
Mm-hmm. I want people to feel that they belong when they pick up this collection and try it on and decide that they want to take a piece home with them, which is the same way I feel about any collection I've made. And what I mean by that is that they can make the piece work for them because it speaks to them, and it can help them make them feel some sort of sense of identity or beauty, that it just makes them feel good. For me, the simplest thing I can do is relate it to how I feel when I have a piece of jewelry or accessory or clothing that makes me feel like myself. And my goal is that people can find these pieces and connect to them, and that it's not for one particular person. I mean, I hope that anybody can pick up these pieces and feel that they're theirs, and that they can make the pieces work for themselves and their style. And it's always my goal that it doesn't stick in one particular style category, or that only one particular type of person, like a cool person, or I don't know, that's the first kind of person that came to mind, but someone who is hip likes it. I want everybody to feel like they could find some kind of beauty in this piece for themselves and from the work. Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
How has the Betsy and I line evolved, and how does that now affect the birth of a collection?
I feel like the Betsy and I line has evolved enormously since I started, and I think it goes from almost 7 years ago. I just had a drive to make a life out of something that inspired me and felt creative and exciting, and not soul-sucking. And so it kind of went from like a fire to just defeat that feeling into a real craft, I think. And so because I don't have any formal training, I've taught myself, and even our employees have started teaching themselves, and together we work to learn new processes. And just through that repetition and practice and challenging ourselves, I think the craft has gotten it's more exciting for me to create now. I remember there was a time when I felt like completely hindered by my inability to my lack of knowledge in the field, and I would think like, oh, I want to do this, but I don't know how to do that, And I think that just little by little, I've started learning how to do those things that I had no clue how to do in the beginning. And because of that, it's just completely widened my ability to make things that I'm even more proud of. I have so many ideas that I don't know how I'm going to get them all done in my lifetime, but one thing I really want to do is see that collection through. That was the one that came before You and Me. We have You and Me Part 2 that will come out in the next few months, before summer sometime, and that's well underway. There's a lot of refinement that needs to happen in that. I want to challenge myself to make things that scare the crap out of me right now, because I don't know how to do them. But I want to look at the work and think, like I do now, about how I felt in the past, that I can't believe that I figured out how to do that. I want to keep moving forward in that direction, and I want to inspire people, and I want to inspire myself and shock myself by the things that I can come up with. That sort of stuff is what is coming down the pike.
Great. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Cross.